Hello, this month's 237 presentation is on Afghanistan, hosted by the YBAWM department. Afghanistan is located in the Middle East, bordered by Iran and Pakistan to the south, and Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan to the north. And for those of you guys who are interested, there's actually a portion over here in the middle, right here, where Afghanistan borders a part of China. Now let's talk about the spiritual background of Afghanistan. 99.7% of the people in Afghanistan are of the Islam religion. This means that they are very much tied together by this sense of Muslim identity. Islam binds the Afghan nation together, in contrast to other countries where their identities are based on ethnicity or their tribe or clan, or also known as your name. The total number of Christians in Afghanistan are currently estimated to be between 10,000 and 12,000 people, while the entire Afghanistan population is 38.93 million. But even this estimate of 10,000 to 12,000 people is very much a vast estimate because a lot of Christians who have converted or who are practicing in secret. So because of that, the estimates are very unknown at this point. The Islamic creed is whispered into the ear of every Muslim child at the time of birth, and this happens at the time of death as well. Their days are regulated by the 5 daily prayers, the fasting of the month of Ramadan, and they have very structured times. This shows you just how much the Islam faith is tied in together with their everyday lives, from their moment of birth to the moment of death, through their day-to-day lives. It regulates their entire being, their entire identity. And because of this, they have the need to protect Islam. For example, thousands of Afghans have been known to protest when one Quran was found to be burned, and they would persecute those who think that they did it. There's only one official church in the country, the Catholic Church in the diplomatic enclave in Kabul, but Afghans are not permitted to attend. And of the Christian converts who practice their faith, they practice their faith in secret, mostly because conversion is punishable by death unless the convert expresses remorse. So unless you're going to express remorse, if you're going to practice your faith, you have to do it in secret in private house churches. The family is a key to the individual's social standing and the most important social institution. This means that the biggest threat to the convert is the risk that their family will find out about the conversion. Because the family, once they find out about the conversion, they're going to try and convince that convert to return back to Islam. Because not only is the convert's reputation at stake, but it is also the family's reputation at stake. It's such a stigma to convert to anything outside of Islam that they're risking being cut off from the family. And in some extreme cases, their family members will even threaten the convert. So this kind of shows you the dynamic of how bad it is to convert away from Islam faith. However, in recent years, until August 2021, the international presence in Afghanistan has increased. And because of that, many more people are coming into contact with Christianity. However, research has shown that people are interested in contacting people of Christian faith, not so much for conversion purposes, but because they want to know more about the Western culture, or they want to know more about other cultures. So the current events that result from the spiritual state, because as you know, the fundamental problems of being separated from God, living under sin, and being deceived by Satan leads to the 6 non-believer states. And so what does that look like for Afghanistan? The first thing that we want to talk about is the Taliban forces taking control over Afghanistan within the past few months. I'm sure you guys have heard about it in the news, but following the withdrawal of United States military forces, the Taliban forces have taken over. And because of this, chaos and violence has impeded the evacuation of many people who are at risk. The Taliban have conducted raids on the homes of journalists, activists, and human rights defenders. Not only that, but the Taliban are also targeting people of the Afghan population who have worked closely with the US government within the past few years. They've restricted the rights of women and girls, and this is especially within the education and the working sector. Women and girls are not allowed to attend schools, and they are having a hard time at work. They are not being paid even after having worked. So there's been many restrictions for that. And the country's economic system and health and education sectors are near total collapse. I want to show you guys a video about a video clip that's on the human rights restrictions that are being put on the Afghan women.
The women have suffered in many different ways. Whenever the Taliban has been in charge, the Taliban forbids education for girls and also the right to work for women. Afghan women cannot travel outside of their home without being accompanied by a male relative. This ideology ended up hitting Afghan women the worst. They also carried out public executions, chopped off hands of thieves, and also stoned women who were accused of adultery.
So this video shows you kind of how they're going through extreme persecution just for, seeking the same things that everybody would like to, which is education, just basic human rights. Things like this is happening in Afghanistan. Here we see a picture of relatives and local residents digging graves during a mass funeral for the victims of a suicide attack on a Shia mosque. This happened in October of 2021. However, this is just one of the many crimes against humanity. ISKP is known as an offshoot of what we right now know as ISIS, and they are an armed group. And during the recent months, they have claimed responsibility for many of the attacks on the Hazara Shia community. There are suicide bombings in multiple mosques that have led to countless of deaths, and they are coming out saying that they're going to target more Shias in their homes, their centers, in every way, from slaughtering their necks to scattering their limbs. This is the kind of action that actually not only uh, is targeting the Shias, but a lot of civilians are dying as well, because in August 29, 2021, there was a suicide bombing by ISKP at Kabul's airport, and this killed 170 Afghans. Most of them were civilians. And since at least 2015, over 1,000 people, of civilians, just have been killed, and thousands more have been injured. So not only is there violence and chaos, but there's also Afghanistan facing famine because their economic, their money, their food, their water, shelter, everything is under threat of collapse. And right here is a picture of Afghans attempting to withdraw money from a bank. The UN Food Program has issued multiple warnings of worsening food insecurity, and the director of Human Rights Watch has actually said that Afghanistan's economy and social services are collapsing, with Afghans throughout the country already suffering acute malnutrition. So we don't have any contact with the missionaries because, as we said, it's very much looked down on, and they are wanting to stay anonymous. However, we do have prayer topics for Afghanistan. And the first is to bind the forces of darkness that are at work in the region. The second is for the disciples to arise in the region so that the biblical evangelism movement can take place through them. And the third is for God's kingdom to be established in Afghanistan and over all of the Christians, missionaries, and evangelists in that field. And if there's any of you guys here that think that this is irrelevant to you or that your prayers won't do anything, just remember that your prayers transcend time and space. And this is exactly the flow of the messages that we've been receiving. So let's have a moment of prayer, and that will be the end of the presentation. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the message today. Bye.